So, have you ever really stopped to think about what holds our society together? I mean, it's not just laws or markets, right? It's something way more fundamental and a lot quieter. It's trust. It's that unspoken agreement that what we see and hear is, mostly real. Today, we're going to dive deep into a really powerful idea from the book The Quiet Disruption, and we're going to explore how AI generated media is quietly and systematically breaking that very foundation of trust.
Mark Twain said this over 100 years ago, but wow, has it ever been more true than it is right now? In the age of AI, a lie doesn't just travel fast, it can be created to look and sound completely real for basically zero cost and at a scale that just completely overwhelms our ability to catch up. This quote just perfectly sets the stage for the problem we're about to unpack, the massive imbalance between how easy it is to deceive and how hard it is to verify the truth.
Okay, so here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we're going to look at how trust used to work back when faking reality was actually hard to do. Then, we'll get into how AI completely flips that model on its head. After that, we'll look at the hidden costs of this new world. And finally, we'll explore what life actually looks like when the very ground of truth beneath our feet just starts to crumble away. To really get what a huge shift this is, we've got to take a step back. For, well, most of modern history, society ran on a very simple unspoken rule. Reality was expensive to fake. If you wanted to create a convincing fake document, or doctor a photo, or fake an audio recording, that took serious skill, time, and money. And because it was so hard to do, deception was the exception, not the rule. And this is where things get really interesting, because we have to reframe how we think about trust. It's not just some warm, fuzzy feeling. It's infrastructure. Think of it like the invisible plumbing that allows everything to work, from financial markets to court systems to just a simple handshake deal in business. We could move fast, we could be efficient, because we all shared this baseline assumption that the evidence we were all looking at was real. And this is exactly how that infrastructure worked day to day. You'd see a piece of evidence, a photo, a recording, and our default setting, our automatic assumption was it's real. This let us take action, make a decision, move on. That whole process of verification, which is costly and takes time, that was saved for only the most important, high-stakes situations. It was an incredibly efficient system, all built on the fact that fakes were hard to make. But now, everything we just talked about is basically broken. AI has made the cost of creating hyper-realistic, totally fabricated media just collapse to zero. It's not expensive, it's not difficult, it is cheap, it is fast, and it's available to pretty much anyone. And this one change in technology completely inverts our old model of trust. So, here's the crucial point. We're not just dealing with more fake news. This is a much deeper, more corrosive problem. See, false information is a lie you can eventually debunk, but AI creates unverifiable information. When you see a video of a politician saying something shocking, the problem isn't just that it might be fake, the problem is you can't be sure. And that little seed of doubt doesn't just poison that one video, it starts to poison all videos. And this is the heart of the disruption. It's not about how many deepfakes are actually out there, it's the mere possibility that any photo, any video clip, any voicemail could be a sophisticated fake. That possibility, all by itself, is enough to force a massive society-wide change in behavior. We just can't afford to assume real anymore. And here's the result: a new model built on distrust. Now, when evidence shows up, our default is skepticism. Is this real? That question inserts a brand new, mandatory step into every interaction: verification. And what does that do? It slows everything down. Decisions get delayed, processes get stuck in the mud, and the beautiful efficiency of our old trust infrastructure just grinds to a halt. Now, this new mandatory step isn't free. Nope, it comes with a cost, a hidden tax that all of us are now forced to pay. It's a tax on our time, on our mental energy, on our money. Every single time we have to pause and question whether an email is legit, or if a news clip is real, or if that photo has been altered, we're paying this tax. This chart shows you exactly why this tax is so brutal. Look at this. The cost and effort to create a believable fake, it's plummeting. It's almost zero. But the cost and effort to prove that something is definitively real, that is still incredibly high. And sometimes it's actually impossible. This imbalance is the engine of the whole problem. A bad actor can pump out 1,000 lies in the time it takes an honest person to verify a single truth. And these costs, they add up fast. This isn't just about a few extra seconds of thinking. We're talking about friction at an institutional level. Business deals take longer, court cases get bogged down. Our own brains get exhausted from having to constantly second-guess everything we see. And over time, this constant doubt wears away our confidence, not just in the media, but in the very institutions that depend on it. So, what happens when this verification tax becomes a permanent fixture in our lives? What are the bigger ripple effects when that fundamental infrastructure of trust really starts to crack? Well, this is where we start to see some really profound changes to society itself.
When people can't reliably trust what they see or hear anymore, their behavior starts to fracture into some pretty unhealthy patterns. You can see it right here in our information diet. Some people just become cynical. They believe nothing is real. Others swing the other way into gullibility, becoming easy prey for bad actors. A lot of people just check out entirely. They disengage. And what gets squeezed out? What's that tiny sliver left over? True discernment. That really hard, active work of trying to sort truth from fiction.
And the downstream effects are systemic. Without shared trust in basic facts, we lose our shared reality. That common ground we need to do anything together as a society. Reputations that took a lifetime to build can be torched in minutes by a convincing fake. Institutions get defensive and slow, and power starts to pool in the hands of the few giant platforms or authorities who can anoint themselves as these certifiers of truth, deciding for all of us what's real and what isn't. Now, the most important thing to get about this whole process is that it doesn't happen with a big, loud crash. Trust doesn't just collapse overnight. It erodes. It's a quiet, gradual breakdown that is so easy to miss if you're not paying really close attention. It happens quietly, not with big headlines, but in the sum of millions of tiny little moments of doubt, second-guessing an email from your boss, wondering if that video is real, hesitating before you share an article. It just becomes the background noise of modern life. And it happens slowly. Each fake piece of media can seem like just a one-off thing, a weird novelty, or a small problem. But every single one is a little chip out of the foundation. The erosion is so incremental that it's incredibly hard to see how bad the damage is until it's already done. And that damage, once it's done, can be complete. Because once that foundation of trust is gone, it hollows out everything that was built on top of it. Our institutions, our relationships, our ability to solve problems together, they all become these fragile, empty shells because the solid ground they once stood on is just gone. And this brings us to the final and most critical question. This isn't a tech problem about how to detect fakes. It's a social problem, a philosophical one. If we can't agree on a baseline of what's real anymore, what common ground is even left? What becomes the new infrastructure for cooperation, for justice, for making any kind of progress? This massive challenge to our shared reality is just one of the profound, quiet disruptions being driven by AI today. If you want to really understand the other structural shifts that are reshaping our world, I highly recommend you check out the source for this whole explainer. The book is called The Quiet Disruption, and you can find it right now on Amazon. Thanks so much for watching.